Everyone on the board and staff, we need to begin our meeting. Commissioner Quarles. Mr. Gammon. Order. Mr. Gammon. Thank you, sir. All right, I'm going to call our March 17th meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, and happy St. Patrick's Day. We always begin our meeting with a moment of silence, so please now look at your phones or any device that you have with you and make sure that it is silenced so as not to disturb the flow of business. And now, if you'll join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And now, if you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Smith, announcements?
Yes, good evening. Just a couple of quick ones for you tonight. Please bear with me. I'm getting over a sinus infection, so if I sound a little weird, that's why. But we wanted to invite everybody to join us for a fun night at the ballpark. We are doing Huntersville Town Takeover at Truist Field for the May 2nd Charlotte Knights game. They're playing the Gwinnett Stripers. We are taking over the concourse. There will be a couple of local businesses and schools there with us. The town will have a table. And just kind of do it up big and take over and show our support of the Charlotte Knights and have a strong Huntersville presence. If you're interested in more information or want to buy tickets, you can go to our website, huntersville.org, and there is a link on the homepage that will tell you more and allow you to buy tickets. Also, just wanted to share a few Huntersville Police Department events that we have coming up. Coffee with a Cop this week was rescheduled due to the predicted weather that happened yesterday. So on Thursday of this week, Coffee with a Cop will be at Starbucks and Target starting at 10:45 a.m. Then Friday, March 20th, there will be an American Red Cross blood drive in the HPD training room from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And on Saturday, March 28th, they'll be doing their annual Touch Truck event at Lake Forest Church from 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. And that is all I had.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a handful of public comments this evening. We will start with, well, actually, before I begin, I just want to remind everyone that if you haven't spoken to the board before, that you please address the board directly and not an individual member of the board, and that we do not respond back to your comments, so we do not answer questions from the dais. If you have questions for us, please email us at boardmembers@huntersville.org, and we'll respond to you there. And please also remember to adhere to our public comment policy, which will be displayed here momentarily. We will begin with Alita Dunn, and you have time from Lynn Drake. If Lynn, could you raise your hand? Are they here? Did they leave? Oh, they left. Okay. Then we will go to Peter Newer, and you have time from Jane G, I'm going to say, because I can't see what your last name is. And you have 6 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to speak to you about the proposed subdivision on Glendale, 14600 Glendale. I spoke the last time there was a hearing on this, and there were a number of things that I wanted to speak about that concern me and my neighbors as well. I'm from California, and I've been here for quite a while. I used to live on the Northstone Country Club, and when the opportunity presented itself, I purchased this lot that I have a house on now that is on Hunters Ridge Road. It's a one-story house. It's a very wide, long ranch-style house. And it sits on about 3/4 of an acre of land. I've got about 50 trees on my property. I planted a row of trees on each side of my property to give it a nice look. And I actually designed the house myself, so whatever's wrong with it, that's kind of my fault, but I can live with it. I enjoy it. And I love the neighborhood I live in. It's got big, wide lots, one house on each one. A lot of the houses are single-story. Each house is custom built. They weren't designed by an architect that made all the houses look basically the same and put one door on the left and one door on the right. The neighborhood has a very nice look to it. It's kind of unique. There's only one other neighborhood I can think of that's in Huntersville that's like it, and I think it's called the Sherwood area, which I'm sure some of you must be familiar with. I know the city wants to develop the area as much as possible, but it seems to me that we ought to keep some of these areas the way they are. They're unique, they're comfortable, it allows the individual homeowner to have what they want in it, and I just don't understand why we want to take one lot and jam 4 houses on it, on a corner, where people whip around it at high speed, because it's not a right angle turn, it's 245s. I think it may be a danger. I'm not an expert at that, but it's quite possible. I have to be very careful when I pull out of my driveway. I pull out and I make sure I look up the street, and when I pull out, I watch people that come around the corner, and sometimes it gets a little iffy. So I want to get into some of the details about zoning, and I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but just in case somebody's forgotten. I live in GR, General Residential. In General Residential, it's required that you have 20,000 square feet for one home. My house sits on 33,000 square feet. The proposed subdivision that has been brought in front of this group, the lots are only 11,000 to 12,000 square feet. They're very small. That's fine if you're going to develop a whole community and all the houses and all the lots are about the same size. That makes sense, and that's what's being done all over the United States. I have no problem with that. I've lived in communities that are like that, and I liked it. But when I bought my lot, I bought it because I wanted a larger lot. I wanted room between myself and my neighbors. I wanted a place where I could put trees up and have a garden if I wanted it. And that's what I have. But I'm fearful that in the future, if this subdivision is allowed, somebody's going to buy another house or another lot, and they're going to do the same thing. And pretty soon, my neighborhood's going to be like a lot of neighborhoods that are like that. I don't have a problem with those neighborhoods. They were designed and planned by experts, where you put your houses, how much setback you have, and so forth. If I wanted a house like that, that's what I would have bought, and so would have my neighbors. So I've got some notes. I'll try to remember what I wanted to talk about. I think that's pretty much what I'd like to say. I really hope that this subdivision isn't approved. It's not going to help the city of Huntersville. It's going to be a detriment to our neighborhood. And I just don't understand why they can't just build 2 houses on this lot. If you subdivided it into 2 lots, you'd have about 21 or 22,000 square feet per house. And those 2 lots would be the smallest ones in our community. I don't think 4 makes sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ingrid Hooks, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Ingrid Hooks, and I live in the Hunters Ridge subdivision. I'm here again to comment on the rezoning request for Glendale. First, I want to thank the commissioners who responded to our emails. We value, I know your time is valuable, and it means a great deal to our residents when you take a moment to engage with us. Those of us who chose Hunters Ridge did so for a reason. We value the larger lots, the character of the homes, and the space and privacy our neighborhood provides us. That's what we invested in when we bought our homes. We were told the new subdivision would technically be considered part of the Vermilion neighborhood. However, Vermilion is located across Huntersville Concord Road. This simply doesn't make much sense. The proposed rezoning also doesn't reflect the density of the surrounding properties. While it may resemble the homes across the street in Vermilion, it does not match the character or lot sizes of the homes that surround this parcel. Another detail that stood out to me was the contingency plan for some homes to share driveways. Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned, but if I'm purchasing a $500,000 home, I would expect it to come with its own driveway. This raises the question, why are we trying to fit so much onto such a small piece of land? Under the current zoning, this parcel could already be divided into 2 properties. That could be a strong investment opportunity while remaining consistent with the spirit and character of our neighborhood. Many of us would simply prefer to see quality over quantity. We also haven't seen accurate renderings of the homes being proposed. The image presented to us at the last meeting looked like small bungalows, not the 2-story, 2,500 square foot homes the developer plans to build. In the spirit of the 2040 plan, a meaningful improvement for this area would be adding a sidewalk along that side of the street. Right now, walkers and runners often have to step into the ditch to avoid oncoming traffic on Glendale. I would encourage the commissioners to visit our community, see the area for yourselves. We understand that Huntersville is growing, but that growth doesn't have to extend outward in a way that erodes what makes established neighborhoods special. Sometimes, less really is more. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Lisa Backer, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I was originally going to come to the rezoning meeting, but my daughter broke her arm, so we're trying again tonight. My name is Lisa Backer. I'm a resident of the Hunters Ridge community, as well as a mother of 2 young children. I'm speaking tonight to respectfully urge you to reject the rezoning proposal to add 4 additional homes to the lot connected to Hunters Ridge development. As a resident of Hunters Ridge for over 10 years, I've witnessed firsthand the growing challenges our neighborhood faces due to increased traffic and overburdened road infrastructure. The roads in and around Hunters Ridge are already struggling to accommodate current traffic volumes, leading to frequent congestion and dangerous driving conditions, especially during the morning and afternoon rush hours. The imminent opening of the Heartwood apartment complex will intensify these issues, not only for Hunters Ridge residents, but for our neighbors in Vermilion and Centennial. The influx of new residents over the past several years has made our roads even busier, with backups at key intersections and longer wait times that affect each of our daily commutes. More importantly, these congested conditions have raised serious safety concerns for all residents, especially children who walk, bike, and play near these streets. Dangerous intersections, increased traffic speeds, and the risk of delays for emergency vehicles are now a daily reality. As a parent, I am deeply concerned about the safety of my children and others in our community. The current infrastructure simply cannot support additional housing without compromising the well-being of our residents. While I recognize that growth and development can bring positive change to our town, these benefits are only realized when the expansion is thoughtfully planned and the infrastructure improvements keep pace. Unfortunately, the current rate of housing development is surpassing what our roads can handle, making this proposal ill-timed and unsustainable. I respectfully ask the board to consider the real and imminent impacts on our neighborhoods and to place safety and quality of life for Huntersville residents first. Please reject the rezoning proposal to add multiple homes on one lot on Glendale at this time. And can we consider to commit to developing and prioritizing the infrastructure and improvements before further growth. Thank you for your attention to this matter and your service to our community.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Amy Curtis. Right, we have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Amy Curtis. I live at 9220 Wedgewood Drive. I could be having deja vu with you folks over here, but I am here tonight, even though the Oak Grove Hill Phase 3 vote was removed from the agenda tonight at the developer's request. I understand he's asked to meet with our neighborhood in the coming weeks. While I appreciate the willingness to engage, this conversation is probably 3 years too late. Westminster Park was very engaged and vocal and involved in the approval of phases 1 and 2. While he was not required to provide notice to us, I feel like a good faith communication would have gone a long way and would have saved us all time, frustration, and probably expenses for him. From the beginning, connectivity to Mount Holly Huntersville Road was central to this project's approval. That was a key expectation. It was not optional. The planning board in their meeting in February acknowledged that it was a miss on their end and the board's end, because boards have changed since this was first approved in 2019. They did not require the entrance to be built on Mount Holly Huntersville Road in phase 1. That was not part of the requirements, even though it was what got it approved. Now we are dealing with the consequences of that missed opportunity. Another comment from the planning board that stayed with me is that there has to be a better plan that really reflects how our neighborhood feels. The current design falls short, whether it's the approved version or the revision he's requesting. I'm hoping that in the next couple weeks when we meet, he's going to come back with something better, because this plan is not it. As it stands, we will now have 2 right-in, right-out entrances on Mount Holly Huntersville Road. They're effectively unusable for anyone traveling northbound. The proposed revision to add a cul-de-sac and cut Carver makes that worse, completely conflicts with the town's stated connectivity principles, and creates a dead end. We also need to consider the precedent that this sets. Allowing developers of any sort to come back with significant changes later on with new boards, new planning commissions, sends a message that the commitments made to the town and the constituents don't matter if that project becomes inconvenient or too expensive. It really undermines the integrity of the planning process, the planning board, and our town. It is also not the responsibility of the town of Huntersville or the residents of Westminster Park to make this project more profitable for the developer. The challenges that he cited, including creek crossings, are not new. They should have been accounted for from the beginning of this project. Revision should not be granted simply because it's more costly than he expected or would like to see. This is going to have a real impact on our neighborhood. It will increase cut-through traffic. Our streets are narrow. We have families that walk, children that ride bikes. Our neighborhood is very old. It was never designed to take all of the traffic from a brand new 150 home development that is going to go through our neighborhoods. It also is in a protected watershed. So what does the traffic mean for a protected watershed when we have all these extra cars? This is a very important intersection in a busy quarter, and we have one opportunity to make it right. I hope you'll ask him for a better plan. Thank you.
Thank you. We're on to item number 7, agenda changes, adoption of the agenda. I believe we have a motion to amend the agenda.
I'm going to, let's see, Mayor, I'm going to motion, or I'm going to add a item to the consent agenda. The board's still working on the sale of the old town hall, and we're going to add another public hearing because of some of the proposed contract terms have been modified. So I make a motion to add a public hearing for April 21st, 2026 at 6 p.m. at Huntersville Town Hall, Huntersville, North Carolina, 28078, on selling portions of town-owned property, parcel IDs 019-031-15 and 019-031-16 for economic development.
So Commissioner Walsh, just a clarification, you're adding a motion for a call for a public hearing,
Yes.
correct?
Call for a public hearing. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And this will be item 8G on the amended consent agenda. And so do we have a second for the motion for an agenda change?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. And now may I have a motion to adopt the amended consent agenda?
I make a motion that we adopt the amended consent agenda.
And is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. We do not have any public hearings this evening. So we're on to item number 10A, consider a decision for petition R25-12. I believe there is a motion to defer.
I make a motion.
Not yet.
No, correct,
Oh.
yeah, no. Yeah, both applicant and staff are in support of this, a motion to defer to April 21st.
All right, now Commissioner Quarles.
I'm on a roll tonight. That's the problem with going to Vegas at the last meeting. I make a motion to defer petition R25-12, a request by Carver Bowman LLC to revise the existing approved rezoning R22-05 for the Oak Grove Hill development for neighborhood residential conditional district to neighborhood residential conditional district with a revised site plan layout of Phase 3 to April 21st, 2026 at the town board meeting.
And is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 10B, consider a decision on petition R25-15 to rezone 11.87 acres. Mr. James.
Thank you. Good evening. So R2515, before I get started, I'd like to please enter my staff report into the record. R2515 Old Statesville Road mixed use. So on the screen, you see the proposed plan that was last submitted to the town. This is the one that we saw before the planning board and the public hearing. There's been some changes since then, but the overall layout of the plan is basically the same, and I'll get into some of the details of what changes occurred since the planning board meeting. So on the new plan that was shared on 3/10, note the submittal deadline was 3/4. That's why you all in your packets do not see the most updated plan or staff report. But the items that were addressed were the items that we did discuss during the planning board meeting and what ultimately made that planning board meeting recommend denial at 9-0. But since then, the applicants have revised that plan to change those conditions that we had asked for. And one of those is Building D would now be converted to townhomes. That's, and I'll show the site plan after in the next slide. Building A, which is one of the front buildings, during the planning board, there was 5,000 square feet of commercial space. They've upped that to 7,482 with 20% max for office space, so the rest would be retail. And Building B went from 3,000 to 4,018 square feet, and the same condition for the maximum amount of office space. With that being said, because of that density change from an apartment building to townhomes that we had asked for with that mix of housing, there is a request for a new modification to increase that Building C, which is, I'll show it on the slide next, but it's appropriate next to the larger building to the south. And that would allow the applicants to keep the same number or close to the same number of apartment units. And this is the last plan that was shared to us on 3/10. As you see if I can't do that yet? I'll just explain it. In the northwest quadrant, there was an apartment building before, as you see in this plan, and two townhome buildings to the very end. Staff had requested that whole quadrant be townhomes to get a rich mix of different type of housing within that mixed-use center. And so now we have that, and someone drew that for me, thank you. The mystery person, I don't know who that was, but thanks. And then up front, if the mystery person wants to circle the two front buildings along Old Statesville Road, There was 5,000 square feet of commercial, and then the building B had, that's good enough, had about 3,000 square feet of commercial. And now it's, like I said, 7,400 roughly and roughly 4,000. So we can get a lot more retail type uses up front there. So those were the big changes. In previous plans in the public hearing, they did move their impervious surface out of the 100-foot perennial area. There is still a modification to develop within the intermittent stream buffer, but overall, the layout of the plan is very similar. Building C in that middle area went from 3 stories to 4 to take up that density change from the townhome buildings. So the modifications with this plan that would need to be approved: 100% attached housing, 60% ground floor requirement that will is proposed to be changed. They're saving about 8% of tree save for specimen trees. Most of those trees are located where the grid network for the street system is, so they're asking to mitigate that by planting on site or into the tree bank fund. And then, like I said, they're disturbing that intermittent stream buffer, but they are choosing to get mitigation credits, which the ordinance allows with option number 8. And then the new modification, increased height for building C. They meet several initiatives of the 2040 plan. Basically, within a mixed-use center, we want a mix of land uses, mix of commercial, mix of housing, and they have now done that. And they're following the ordinance design principles as well as improving connectivity in that area. So again, the planning board recommended denial 9-0 based on too low a mix of housing, which they've added with the townhomes in lieu of all apartment buildings. And then they've added the additional commercial square footage. The planning board believed the plan was inconsistent, but those initiatives you see on the screen have changed in staff's opinion based on the changes that have been revised. So with all that being said, staff initially did not recommend approval, but based on the changes that we've seen this last week with the mix of housing and the added commercial space, staff does recommend approval. We believe it is consistent with those initiatives of the 2040 plan. The applicants do have a presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions before that if you'd like.
Any questions for staff? All right, we'd like to see the presentation.
You're welcome. There's several slides. Let me get you to yours. There you go.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. We've done a lot of collaboration over the past few weeks. It's definitely been an evolution in getting us to what we believe is a much better plan. I won't revisit everything. I think Jesse did a really good job. I've got some color graphics, though, that might make it a little easier to understand the changes that have been made. This just shows you that pathway that we went through from our June 5th submittal through the March submittal. But most recently, what we provided was this plan. You can see the graphic that's on your upper left-hand side was what we sent to the planning board and reviewed and discussed. What's on the right-hand side is the current sketch plan. So you can see we've got a key underneath. Number 1 shows you that the prior 3-story building D was replaced with townhomes, which enhances the mix of housing in a more intentional density step down. You can see the 4 light yellow buildings with the number 1 to the right of it, showing you what that change transition to. The second thing is we focused on increasing the ground floor retail and commercial fronting the most public-facing Old Statesville Road, 100% of Building A frontage plus majority of Building B frontage. And again, you can see that with the orange buildings highlighting the areas in blue that show how much retail will be provided really in the high visibility location. And then the last thing, as Jesse mentioned, we increased the height in Building C, which is a number 3 on it, that was internal to the site, and that's one of the ways we were able to recapture some of the units that were lost and clarify that we are maintaining the same level of affordable commitments that we offered in the previous phase. We appreciate all of the time and dedication. It really was a group effort and a heavy lift. Jesse and the team did a great job. Tom and I are happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the applicant? No questions?
It's not a question, but it's a compliment. You mentioned back in June 2025, you guys have really proven that you want to be a partner of the town of Huntersville. This project, it was an immense amount of work from our planning staff, our planning board, the town board, the residents. There was a lot of work put into this project, and to see where we are today from when we first met with you almost a year ago, you really proved that you want to be a part of Huntersville. You'd be about, what, maybe 2 minutes from downtown, Huntersville. So again, it's a great place where we're going to thrive. So again, I want to thank you for the hard work that you all put into this.
Thank you.
Yeah, likewise, thank everyone in the process for their time, too.
Yeah, I'd also reiterate that. I know we had some rough conversations, and I really appreciate you guys. And you listened to the planning board. You called me right after the planning board, and we kind of discussed some ideas. And I just appreciate you guys being open. And I do like what you have here. I mean, having all this residential right on, or excuse me, commercial on Statesville, I think it'd be a great asset to the community.
Commissioner Walsh?
Yeah, I think this project is going to be a great addition to our downtown area. It creates more opportunities for folks to live, work, and thrive here in Huntersville. I'd like to thank the petitioner, neighbors, staff, and my colleagues on the board for all the hard work to get this project across the finish line. It was truly a team effort, and everyone worked together in the spirit of collaboration. And as my friend Commissioner Quarles says, we found a way to create a win-win situation.
I'm going to be the instigator. Can you talk a little bit about the stream mitigation plan and option 8 and what that will entail and what that means for the site?
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to invite our engineer to come up too, Craig Berwick of Seaman Whiteside. I'll do my best to explain it. So is this how you go back? How do you go back on this? I'm just going to just pull up a...
You should just be able to use the planner. Where do you want to go? The big plan?
Yeah, I guess we can go to the big plan.
There you go.
Yeah. So a couple of iterations ago, and what was even pre-planning board as well, there's 2 classifications of streams on the property. In the furthest west portion, it's classified as a perennial stream, and that carries a 100-foot buffer. And a couple of plan iterations ago, there was some minimal disturbance there happening with not only disturbance, but some built upon area. And then through collaboration with staff and kind of reworking the plan and going through this process that some of the other commissioners mentioned too, we were able to move the development fully out of disturbing that area in its entirety. And I think the balance then of the stream classifications are intermittent streams, and essentially the vast majority of that carries a 30-foot buffer associated with it. The vast majority of that area we're also staying out of from a disturbance perspective. There's a small area, I don't remember off the top of my head, Craig, maybe it's about 10,000 land square feet or so, primarily to construct the public street B that's shown on the plan here, kind of connecting the road grid network. And we've chosen to, as the ordinance allows, go with the option to essentially pay mitigation fee credits, and with the intention of that being routed to another creek restoration project or something similar within the town, keeping those funds there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Can you talk about the stormwater technologies that you're going to employ on the site?
Sure. Yeah, happy to do that. So shown on the southern portion, so again, kind of following that stream buffer area, shown in the dark green, kind of in the middle of the site. On the south side of that, you can see it denoted with the F. There's 2 stormwater detention facilities that we're planning for on the project.
The one on the south side is a surface stormwater retention pond, and on the north side, not shown on the plan because it'll be underground, is an underground sand filter system. And so the idea is, and I may let Craig chime in here too, but the idea is that essentially we're required to control for, I believe, the 2, 10, and 50-year storm event with the detention facilities that we're planning for on the property. And because of the staying out of the stream, the intermittent stream portion and the stream buffer itself, we're putting 2 facilities on either side of that buffer area to be able to meet ordinance and water quality control requirements. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Can you tell me, are you replanting the trees on the site, or are you just going to mitigate those that you have to take out? It sounds like maybe that wasn't totally clarified. Right, Jesse, or?
So as we all know, there was a text amendment to require a full 50% of required, so that's a modification here, but this plan isn't fully vetted as far as where room would be for planted trees. So it's either planted or tree bank fund or a mix of, and we typically get into that at construction plan. And also, sometimes we get into it at the conceptual level. However, with the plans changing so rapidly, that just hasn't been fully vetted whether we're going to do tree bank fund or on site. And the applicants may be able to touch on that more if they believe there's more room.
Yeah, I think that's basically the approach. Is it'll be a blend of the two, and I can't speak to what that exact mix will be right now. But as we advance the plan and into the construction document phase, we can certainly do our best to prioritize replanting as much as possible.
Okay. And then the stream, the intermittent stream is what's being mitigated, and you're mitigating part of a small wetland too, or no?
Does the wetland qualify as well? The small wetland area? No, I don't think it qualifies under the same ordinance requirement.
So you're not mitigating the small wetland?
Yeah, go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, I'm Craig Berwick, Seaman Whiteside, the engineering. The wetlands, the mitigation for the stream is for the 30-foot buffer that we're disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
That buffer does not go around the wetlands, so there is no requirement to mitigate the wetlands. As they don't have a discernible channel in them, they didn't need a 30-foot buffer.
Okay, but so one of the wetlands is still going to be disturbed?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions, board? Commissioner Smallwood?
Hi. I have spent a good deal of time talking to one of the neighbors, Ms. Pell, who co-owns I guess you call it a lake pond, because it's not really a lake and it's not really a pond. Can you talk a little bit more about that sand filtration system and what that is going to look like? Maybe what's the anticipated lifespan, maintenance, pretreatment, that type of thing?
Yeah, so the sand filter really is the best stormwater device to treat water. All the first inch of rainfall that goes on this site has to go through the sand. It can't just go straight into the stream. So all that first inch of rainfall will be filtered in the sand. It will remove any of the, or most of the nutrients or any oils and things like that. So it is really, really good at water quality treatment. On top of that, that's where we do the volume detention. So for our 2, 10, and 50-year storms, we'll require that whatever was leaving the site in a pre-condition, we can't increase the volume leaving the site in a post-condition. So it's not going to get worse on those storm events. Maintenance of sand filters, they last about, I would say about 20 years. There is a maintenance plan that you have to follow with it. Takes yearly inspections and everything like that. So there is maintenance requirements for it too.
Thank you.
Any other questions, board? Okay, do we have a motion for this item?
I make a motion to approve rezoning petition R25-15 Old Statesville mixed use with the following conditions. Number one, 100% attained housing is permitted. Number two, 60% ground floor commercial is not required within the mixed-use buildings. However, the commercial layout shown on the plan is the minimum required with no more than 20% of that square footage dedicated to office use. Number three, plan may mitigate tree save with options permitted by the ordinance. Number four, the intermittent stream may be disturbed as shown on the plan using option 8 permitted by the ordinance. Number five, building C may be increased from 36 feet to 48 feet. Number six, petitioner commits to construct the improvements identified and/or recommended in the TIA and any required to meet Article 14 of the town zoning ordinance. If the proposed change in density and/or intensity of uses requires new scoping and an updated TIA per ordinance requirements, the new scoping and updated TIA shall be completed and submitted for review and approved by the town staff prior to the approval of preliminary plans, construction drawings. All town staff comments on the TIA scoping and TIA's reports must be addressed. And then number seven, any remaining staff comments must be addressed. It is reasonable in the public interest to approve this rezoning with the recommended revisions as the plan is consistent with future land use implementation policies LU 2.1, LU 5.1, LU 6.1, LU 6.2, LU 7.1, LU 10, T 3.1 of the Huntersville 2040 Community Plan. This proposal is consistent with the Huntersville 2040 Community Plan policies and furthermore provides a rich mix of services and housing within close proximity to our downtown. And
I just wanted to clarify, Commissioner Walsh, that in your seventh condition about addressing any remaining staff comments, that you are including staff comments related to plan notes, that those must also be addressed.
yes, anything in the plan notes, yes.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? So we have Commissioner Smallwood, Quarles, Rivers, Walsh, and Cornett in favor, and Commissioner Hunt opposed. So the motion carries. Thank you. Item number 10C, consider a deferral until April 21st, 2026 on petition R25-16.
Good evening again. Both staff and the applicant recommend deferral of the item R2516 to the April 21st meeting to address staff comments.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to defer item 10C, petition R25-16 to April 21st, 2026 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall.
And is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 10D, consider awarding a preliminary services contract to Edifice LLC. Ms. Loop.
Yes, good evening, Board. Similar to the Town Hall project, the town solicited qualifications from design builders to build Fire Station number 5. This will be the first and preliminary services contract out of a set of 2 contracts that will be awarded to Edifice LLC to do the design work and also the construction work for Fire Station number 5.
Any questions for Ms. Loop? All right, do I have a motion for item 10D?
I make a motion to approve the preliminary services contract with Edifice LLC to initiate design of Fire Station number 5.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Item number 10E, consider appropriating general fund balance for Fire Station number 5. It says Ms. McGinnis.
Yes, what we want to do here is appropriate fund balance for $1,250,000 so we can start on the site plan and the design.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. McGinnis? Do we have a motion for item 10E?
I make a motion to approve appropriate general funds balance for the Fire Station South, number 5.
And is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Item number 10F, consider approving reimbursement resolution for Fire Station number 5. Ms. McGinnis?
Yes, what this reimbursement resolution will do for Fire Station number 5 is any funds that we spend out of the general fund or any funds that we spend related to Fire Station number 5 will be reimbursed when we do a debt issuance on the fire station. So this is just reimbursing ourselves until we get the debt issuance.
Thank you. Is there a motion for item 10F?
For item 10F, I make a motion to approve the reimbursement resolution for Fire Station number 5.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Item number 10G, consider adopting an ordinance determining that it is in the best interest of the town of Huntersville to approve and authorize the execution and delivery of the amended and restated project power sales agreement. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Kevin Joseph with Electricities is here to give you a little bit more information about this item and their role in this. And ultimately, if you decide to approve this item or don't approve this item, that'll dictate the next 2 actions on the agenda. Kevin.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. I'm Kevin Joseph from Electricities. Today I'm going to talk about I have a brief presentation. I promised the town manager I was going to be brief. I'm going to talk about extending 2 of our power supply contracts. But before that, I'm going to talk a little background on public power, Electricities, and I've been asked to provide some information on retail rate comparison. So I will do that. Yes. Perfect. Okay. So there are 3 types of electric utilities: public power utilities like the town of Huntersville, rural electric cooperatives like Energy United, and of course the investor-owned utilities like your Duke Energies. They all have different business models. You can see the various criteria listed on the slide. I'm not going to go through each one of those, but some of the important ones are at the top. Public power utilities are not-for-profit, community-owned. The cooperatives are not-for-profit, member-owned, and of course the investor-owned utilities, they want their profit and they are shareholder-owned. The investor-owned utilities are regulated by the North Carolina Utilities Commission, and they have a private board of directors. In contrast, public power utilities are elected by, are governed by appointed boards, mayors, commissioners, that sort of thing. The town board approves budgets, which includes any kind of retail rate adjustments for electric service. All right, this slide shows the Electricities membership, the Carolinas and Virginia. Public Power's purpose is to deliver value to our customers, our communities and customers through collective strength, knowledge, and action while promoting a successful future. Right now, Electricities has about 99 municipality members, and in the state of North Carolina, Public Power serves about 1.6 million people. Those members, the town of Huntersville being an Electricities member, can take advantage of a multitude. We have hundreds of services that you all do take advantage of that we provide our membership. Now let's take our time machine and let's go way back to the 70s, and I'll talk about the creation of the power agencies. So there was an energy crisis that brought together utilities and municipalities. The utilities in North Carolina, the investor-owned utilities at the time were Carolina Power and Light and Duke Energy. The municipalities wanted greater reliability and control over costs, and these investor-owned utilities needed help to finance their new power plants. So the best solution for that at the time was to grant the cities permission to own generation. So this went through the legislation, the General Assembly, and a constitutional amendment was passed in 1977 that essentially established the power agencies. This was supported by the governor, legislators, city officials, and voters. Right now, there's 2 municipal power agencies in the state of North Carolina. There used to be 3. Agencies 2 and 3 were collapsed in 1981 into the top icon there, which is the North Carolina Eastern Municipal Power Agency. That's 32 municipalities in the eastern part of the state, and they bought into generation with Carolina Power and Light at the Brunswick Nuclear Plant in Southport, the Sharon Harris Nuclear Plant in Raleigh, and 2 coal plants near the Virginia border in Person County, Roxborough, and Mayo. But you're probably more interested in the North Carolina Municipal Power Agency number 1, that bottom icon. The town of Huntersville is one of the 19 members belonging to that power agency. And of course, you have that large share of the Catawba nuclear plant that you're a part of. The good news about the Catawba nuclear plant and the power supply portfolio for the power agency, it's mostly coming out of that Catawba nuclear plant, and it's 94% emissions-free, carbon-free. So if there's any type of carbon tax that comes down the line in the future, you're isolated from that because you have nuclear. It's been a strong resource for years, and it's licensed through 2043, which I'll talk about in a minute, but it's a great resource to be a part of. We do have some natural gas and a sliver of hydro and other renewables in the portfolio. Let me talk about the Catawba Nuclear Station. Catawba consists of 2 units, and they're owned by multiple entities, right? The North Carolina Municipal Power Agency number 1 is one of them, Piedmont Municipal Power Agency, the North Carolina Co-ops, and of course Duke Energy, with Duke Energy being the operator of the nuclear plant. Agency 1 has title to 75% of Catawba Unit 2, but through some contractual arrangements, Agency 1 pays 37.5% of all expenses incurred at the plant. So we don't argue about, hey, that's a Unit 1 pump, that's a Unit 2 motor, or is that a common facility? And then you have to bicker about, what goes where. All the entities have the same contractual arrangement. Agency 1 pays 37.5% of costs out of the plant. So the output of the Catawba, of the nuclear plants, produce a surplus energy for the power agency. And over the years, we've had a robust surplus sales program where we have some power marketers in our Raleigh office, and they've sold the excess power onto the market for very favorable prices. In 2023, the agency entered into a long-term contract, a long-term purchase power agreement with Central Electric Power Cooperative for 18% of the agency's share. That was effective January 2024. So that, we had the surplus sales program, but we locked in surplus sales by having that deal with Central Electric Co-op at some extremely favorable rates. So it turned out to be a great deal for the power agency. Another comment about the nuclear plant, I made this comment in closed session, but I'll make it here. It's been a fantastically operated plant. Production costs are always in the top quartile out of all nuclear plants in the country. They have very low forced outage rates, very high capacity factors. It's a great plant to be a part of. The current operating license was extended 20 years and currently expires in 2043. I was asked to put together some retail information, so I have a couple slides on that. This shows all 50 states in the country and where, okay, so not all the states printed out, but that red line represents North Carolina, even though it doesn't say it on the slide. The yellow line is the U.S. average, so you can see we're in great shape. North Carolina has the 16th lowest residential energy rate in the U.S. at 14.6 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, if you drill down into just the regional area, you can see North Carolina has the 3rd lowest residential rate in the southeast. So compared to our peers, we are in excellent position. Every electric supplier fills out some EIA data on an annual basis. That's the Energy Information Administration. That's part of the Department of Energy on what your costs are, just a multitude of data, and we do that as well. So this is a comparison that strips out some of that EIA data, shows North Carolina Public Power, North Carolina Co-ops, and the IOUs. You can see on this graph from a affordability standpoint, we're about 10% lower than the co-ops and about 16% lower than the IOUs. Of course, one of the pillars of public power is that the public power business model is affordability. The note at the top of this says all 19 Agency 1 and 31 out of the 32 Eastern Agency members are the lowest cost providers in their areas. Okay, some recent activities. The two power supply agreements that I'll talk about tonight are the Project Power Sales Agreement and the Supplemental Power Sales Agreement. When those were signed back in the 70s, we were only allowed to enter into 50-year agreements. So those are expiring in 2028 and 2033, which is just around the corner in power supply planning space. So we went to the General Assembly and had them pass legislation to allow for those contracts to be extended out, and that's the reason I'm here tonight. So currently we want to extend those contracts out to 2043 to coincide with the expiration of the current operating license at Catawba. We're trying to get out to all 19 members in the Power Agency and get those approvals done by the second quarter of this year. This is just a graphical representation of the agreements. The green bar is the project agreements, and the yellow bar is supplemental. You can see the project agreements expire in 2033. The supplemental expires in 2028. You might ask, why now? I kind of alluded to it before. In the power supply planning space, you need to do these things well in advance in case you want to build your own power plant or look for another source of power that could take years to acquire and put those contracts in place. What we want to do is extend that project agreement an additional 11 years to 2043 and extend the supplemental agreement 15 years to 2043. And this is my last slide. So we're requesting approval of the two agreements. Like I said, this should say Project Power Sales Agreement, extending the primary wholesale power supply relationship through 2043, matching up with the Catawba operating license, and extending the Supplemental Power Sales Agreement through 2043 as well to provide additional resources. Our analysis shared previously in closed session suggests significant value to Huntersville and its customers by extending these agreements. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions? I know we saw most of this in our other meetings, so it's kind of a review, but okay. Is there a motion for item 10G?
I would like to make a motion that we consider adopting an ordinance determining that it is in the best interest of the town of Huntersville to approve and authorize the execution and delivery of an amended and restated Project Power Sales Agreement with North Carolina Municipal Power Agency Number 1 and an amended and restated Supplemental Power Sales Agreement with North Carolina Municipal Power Agency Number 1.
And is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Item 10H, consider approving the amended and restated Project Power Sales Agreement between North Carolina Municipal Power Agency Number 1 and the town of Huntersville. Any questions on this? Is there a motion for item 10H?
I make the motion that we approve the amended and restated Project Power Sales Agreement between North Carolina Municipal Power Agency Number 1 and the town of Huntersville.
And is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Item 10I, consider approving the amended and restated Supplemental Power Sales Agreement between North Carolina Municipal Power Agency Number 1 and the town of Huntersville. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the amended and restated Supplemental Power Sales Agreement between North Carolina Municipal Power Agency Number 1 and the town of Huntersville.
And is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're on to item number 10G, consider appointing 4 members to the Environmental Sustainability Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. So this
Jay.
is for 4 appointments. We've got 3 members whose terms are expiring at the end of this month, and then there is a single term that the member had resigned, so you're filling a 1-year spot.
Okay, let's begin with our 1-year partial term. Commissioner Hunt,
Tim Sanborn.
Commissioner Quarles,
Tim Sanborn.
Commissioner Smallwood,
Tim Sanborn.
Commissioner Rivers,
Tim Sanborn.
Commissioner Walsh,
Tim Sanborn.
Commissioner Cornett.
Tim Sanborn.
All right, unanimous. Is there a motion to appoint Tim Sanborn to the partial 1-year term?
I make a motion to appoint Tim Sanborn to a partial term on the ESC ending on 3/31/2027.
And is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Sanborn, for your volunteer service. And then we have, from there, 3 more members. So we'll begin with you, Commissioner Hunt.
Tricia Knight, Anne Marie O'Neill, and Lisa Zelina.
Anne Marie O'Neill and Lisa Zelina. Commissioner Quarles,
Tricia Knight, Anne Marie O'Neill, Lisa Zelina.
Commissioner Smallwood,
Tricia Knight, Anne Marie O'Neill, and Lisa Zelina.
Commissioner Rivers,
Tricia Knight, Anne Marie O'Neill, and Lisa Zelina.
Commissioner Walsh,
Tricia Knight, Anne Marie O'Neill, and Lisa Zelina.
and Commissioner Cornett.
Lisa Zelina, Tricia Knight, and Anne Marie O'Neill.
Okay. All right, so I need a motion to appoint Tricia Knight, Anne Marie O'Neill, and Lisa Zelina to the Environmental Sustainability Committee.
I make a motion to appoint Tricia Knight, Anne Marie O'Neill, and Lisa Zelina to the ESC for the 3-year terms ending on 3/31/2029.
And is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Item number 10K, consider appointing 1 member to the Public Arts Commission. And we'll start with Commissioner Cornett.
Christina Stout.
Commissioner Walsh,
Christina Stout.
Commissioner Rivers,
Christina Stout.
Commissioner Hunt,
Christina Stout.
Commissioner Quarles,
Christina Stout.
Commissioner Smallwood.
Christina Stout.
All right, may I have a motion to appoint Christina Stout to the Public Arts Commission?
I make a motion to nominate or to elect Christina Stout to the Public Art Commission.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. All right, we have closing comments. We'll start with you, Commissioner Smallwood. Any closing comments?
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. And I just wanted to say that tomorrow's my dad's birthday.
Oh.
First birthday we won't have with him here, but just think about my family.
We will.
Thank you.
Commissioner Quarles.
I want to thank and salute, excuse me, the Huntersville Fire Department. We sometimes take public safety for granted, and on last week, my daughter had an episode, and as my wife and I were traveling to where she was at, one of the fire trucks from off of McElwain Road made a U-turn. It could have been a car just had broken down, but they took it upon themselves to go to check on my daughter. So I want to salute them for checking on my child. So again, we take it for granted sometimes. So what I'm going to do is on Friday, if any of you guys want to join me at 6:00 p.m., I'm going to treat them for a nice dinner.
All right, well done. All right, Commissioner Hunt. Commissioner Rivers.
I want to give a big congratulations and kudos to the Pottstown Heritage Group. They were able to acquire and purchase land in the Pottstown community, and the ribbon cutting event on last Thursday was phenomenal. So congratulations to you all. And yeah, again, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Commissioner Walsh.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Commissioner Cornett.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you all for, I know we've done a lot of work together this week, so I appreciate everybody's cooperation and help in getting all these things across the board.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Are y'all ready to adjourn? Me neither, Nick. I would like to make a motion that we adjourn tonight's meeting.
And is there a second?
I will second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And we are adjourned.